After one chatbot, several cloud empires, and enough promised capital to make a small nation check its pockets, from the company that turned answering emails into an infrastructure strategy, comes a technology so transformative, its shopping list needs its own electrical grid. OpenAI may be building the most important technology of this century. It may also be building history's most expensive group project. The numbers now involve hundreds of billions of dollars. They involve cloud empires, power grids, and retirement accounts. Naturally, everyone has agreed to remain completely calm. Some people call this the next industrial revolution. Others call it a bubble bigger than 2008. Uncle Moneybags calls it Tuesday, with more server racks. So is OpenAI actually the center of another financial crisis? No honest person can prove that today. But the machinery being assembled around artificial intelligence is enormous. Demand is real, spending is spectacular, returns are uneven, and the market has placed many eggs inside one glowing data center. That is the real story, not certain collapse, concentrated consequence. Begin with the company at the center of the poster. OpenAI is not a normal publicly traded corporation. Its operating company became a public benefit corporation in 2025. The OpenAI Foundation still controls the group. Microsoft valued its stake at roughly $135 billion. That represented about 27% after the recapitalization. Very charitable, with equity. Then, in February 2026, OpenAI announced new investment. $110 billion at a $730 billion pre-money valuation. Amazon pledged $50 billion. SoftBank and Nvidia pledged $30 billion each. This was not a funding round. It was a small nation discovering venture capital. Amazon's public filing adds an important detail. $15 billion arrived first. Another $35 billion depends on specified conditions. Conditions are where optimism puts on reading glasses. And the checks are only one side of the arrangement. OpenAI and Amazon expanded their cloud agreement by $100 billion. That agreement runs across 8 years. It includes about 2 gigawatts of computing capacity. 2 gigawatts for answering emails more confidently. Then comes Stargate. The project was announced with an intended $500 billion investment. The plan covered 4 years of American AI infrastructure. By September 2025, OpenAI reported nearly 7 gigawatts planned. It also reported more than $400 billion of planned investment. When your shopping list needs its own electrical grid, you are no longer shopping. You are doing macroeconomics with a corporate card. Now for the inconvenient part. OpenAI's product is not imaginary. The company reported more than 800 million weekly ChatGPT users. That is extraordinary distribution. It is also not the same thing as extraordinary profit. Usage is not revenue. Revenue is not margin. And a dazzling demonstration is not an invoice getting paid. The enterprise numbers explain the tension. PwC surveyed 4,454 chief executives. Only 12% reported both cost and revenue benefits from AI. 56% reported no significant financial benefit so far. That does not mean artificial intelligence is useless. It means the corporate treasure map still contains several dragons. McKinsey found a more encouraging but still selective picture. 39% reported some enterprise-level impact on operating profit. Only about 6% qualified as high performers. So, yes, value exists. It has simply chosen a very exclusive restaurant. This distinction matters. A technology can change the world and still be overpriced. Railways change the world. The investors financing every railway did not all enjoy the journey. Innovation and valuation are not married. They are dating. And the bill has arrived. Follow that bill into the infrastructure layer. Oracle reported $552.6 billion in remaining performance obligations. 1 year earlier, that figure was $130.2 billion. Its 9-month capital spending reached $39.2 billion. The comparable earlier period was $12.1 billion. Those figures are not all OpenAI. They show the scale of the wider cloud construction boom. Concrete, chips, cooling systems, transmission lines. The cloud has become remarkably heavy. The United States Department of Energy measured the appetite. Data centers consumed about 4.4% of American electricity in 2023. By 2028, the projected range reaches 6.7 to 12%. That forecast covers all data centers, not only artificial intelligence. But AI is one of the major new demand engines. Every chatbot begins as a sentence. Eventually, it becomes a utility planning meeting. This is where the bubble argument becomes more serious. Not because electricity proves a collapse is coming. It proves the commitments are physical. Server campuses cannot be closed with a browser tab. Debt cannot be cooled with a motivational keynote. And concrete rarely accepts software updates. The financial web also stretches across supposed competitors. Microsoft remains OpenAI's primary cloud partner. Its intellectual property license now runs non-exclusively through 2032. OpenAI can place products across other cloud providers. Revenue sharing from OpenAI to Microsoft continues through 2030, subject to a cap. Meanwhile, Amazon is investing billions and selling enormous compute capacity. This is not necessarily a breakup. It is diversification wearing a couple's therapy sweater. The partners compete, invest, supply, and collect revenue from one another. Money travels in circles. The presentations call it an ecosystem. Uncle Moneybags has seen ecosystems. Usually something eventually eats something else. Now step back from OpenAI. The larger vulnerability sits inside the market itself. In July 2026, the Bank of England measured AI-related concentration. Its selected AI companies represented around half of the S&P 500. In 2022, they represented around 1/4. That does not mean half the index is fraudulent. It means disappointment has fewer places to hide. When a narrow group drives a broad market, everyone becomes exposed, even the investor who proudly purchased the boring index fund. Congratulations, your diversification has a favorite child. The bank also tested a hypothetical correction. Its scenario included a 45% American equity decline across 6 quarters. Corporate credit spreads widened by 350 basis points. The modeled effect reduced British GDP by 2.2 percentage points. That sounds dramatic because it is dramatic. But here's the part panic merchants dislike. The bank said an equity shock alone was unlikely to threaten British financial stability directly. British banks remained resilient in the scenario. The fire drill was ugly. The building remained standing. That is why calling this bigger than 2008 is premature. The phrase is excellent cinema. It is not yet excellent measurement. Today's verified evidence does not establish the same scale or mechanism. It begins with concentrated valuations and enormous infrastructure expectations. It extends through cloud contracts, electricity demand, and capital spending. Different plumbing from the headline, still capable of flooding the basement. The International Monetary Fund highlights another connection. Financial institutions increasingly depend on a small number of cloud, data, and model providers. A disruption at one critical provider could affect many institutions simultaneously. That is systemic vulnerability, not because one chatbot forgets your birthday. Because thousands of firms may share the same digital foundation. So what should viewers actually watch? First, watch returns, not user counts. 800 million weekly users prove reach. They do not prove that every infrastructure promise earns its cost. Second, watch enterprise results. If the 12% success group expands, the spending gains support. If the 56% no-benefit group persists, patience becomes expensive. Third, watch capital spending beside actual cloud revenue. Contracts are promises about tomorrow. Power plants and data centers require money today. That gap is where spreadsheets begin sweating. Fourth, watch market concentration. When one theme becomes half a major index, diversification weakens quietly. The risk is not simply one company failing. The risk is many expectations being repriced together. Finally, watch the language. Planned investment is not money already spent. Remaining obligations are not current revenue. Users are not subscribers. And revolution is not a margin. Words become expensive when investors stop reading the footnotes. Uncle Moneybags is not predicting the death of artificial intelligence. That would be lazy. The technology can be transformative. the price attached to transformation can still become ridiculous. Both ideas can occupy the same leather chair. One orders the future, the other quietly asks who is paying. So, is OpenAI building the next great industrial platform? Possibly. Is the AI economy concentrating vast promises around uncertain returns? Absolutely. And when the lights dim across those glittering server palaces, the final bill will not be addressed to destiny, it will be addressed to capital. If this magnificent electrical invoice made sense, tap like, subscribe before the algorithm requests its own power station, and comment below, revolution, or history's most expensive group project. The algorithm demands engagement. Apparently, 800 million weekly users were not enough.